Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got an interesting show for you today. Yeah, we're going to talk about Vols versus NC State. I'm going to give you my score prediction and how I think this game's going to fall out. Well, let's get right on into this. All right, Saturday in Charlotte at 7:30. It's in their home state of North Carolina, but tickets are still available. I actually checked with the Ticketmaster, and they're available anywhere from $80 to $500 a piece. I'm a little surprised they're not sold out. You would think it's in-state. NC State's right there. They would fill it up, but they haven't done that. Part of that may have something to do with the fact they're not real pleased with how they played against West Carolina. That was a bit of a struggle. They were actually down 4 points going into the fourth quarter. So they were struggling mightily with that team. And Tennessee, of course, we whooped up on UT Chattanooga. I wasn't too concerned about that from the get-go. The big thing NC State's going to have to do, and everybody mixes this up. They think you got to stop the pass with UT. That's not the key to beating them. You've got to stop the run first. Tennessee loves to run the ball. We love to spread you out, get you in a six-man box, and then just punish you with guys like Sampson, who is super quick, very, very elusive, and then hit you hard with a guy like Cam Seldon, and then mix it up with Bishop. You saw him running pretty freely against Chattanooga. If they don't do that, we become way too dynamic. We become incredibly difficult to predict. And once that happens, it's going to get ugly because Nico is very accurate. You saw that last week. He hit Thornton. I mean, he hit him just spot on right in mid-stride, and he was gone. And that's the other thing. Our wide receivers, NC State's not going to have the horses to run with us. They're just not. Their cornerbacks are not going to be tall enough. They're going to struggle against our guys if Nico's accurate, which he typically is. You know, he's played in 2 ball games, started 2 games, MVP in both, and has threw for over 300 yards in one half and made some of the best throws you'll ever see. So I don't know that they'll be able to stop they're not going to be able to stop our offense. I don't see that happening.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
And how are they going to do it with a 6-man box? And if they put 8 into the box, here's what Tennessee will do. They'll either throw a bubble screen, and then you've got a very small chance of being able to stop that, especially if you've got Brew McCoy out there blocking and you get the ball in the hands of a Squirrel White. He can go the distance, no problem. So they're not going to be able to put 8 in the box. And with 6, I don't see them stopping the run. So, again, they're going to have to score a lot of points against us to win, which is what they need to focus on. NC State is going to try to run the ball. That is incredibly important and very difficult to do with Tennessee. Our front 7 was fantastic against the run last year. We're just as strong. I know some of y'all are like, oh, well, you know, the defense didn't play all that great. We were so vanilla in that game against UT Chattanooga, and what'd they get, like 200 yards? And some of that was against the backups. So, honestly, you can't really delineate anything from what happened last week with our defense. Our blitz schemes were not there. We didn't stunt. We didn't do much of anything. We just kind of laid back in coverage. We let our front 4 rush, and UT Chattanooga was getting the ball out of that guy's hands as quick as they possibly could because they knew he'd get sacked and crushed. And they barely used James Pierce. Pierce didn't go after the quarterback much at all. He fell back into coverage multiple times. So the key for NC State is going to be Grayson McCall. A lot is going to be on his shoulders. Now, this is a guy that 2 years ago was a phenom at Coastal Carolina. He was throwing for 300 yards every game, tons of touchdowns, very few interceptions. Last year, he had 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, which is completely off his game. They had a new coach. I think that played a role. And in the West Carolina game, he was inaccurate the first few quarters, and then he picked it up in the fourth quarter. And there is the possibility that they overlooked West Carolina and were looking more towards the Vols and really sort of didn't take West Carolina seriously. And that can get you sometimes. And that's what these guys here with the Locked On Wolfpack think may have happened.
I think they had a good game plan that they executed, and it kind of staggered us until you saw there in the fourth quarter, NC State was like, oh, blank. Now we're still losing this game at home. It's time that we finish this thing off, and then that's when they really took that thing over. So I don't know. I don't know if it was laziness. I don't know if it was expecting Western to roll over, and they never did. Nonetheless, the execution as a whole just was not there. And for that reason, we saw a lot of things missing on Thursday night.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I will say this. It's one game. It's one game. Like, at the end of the day, be it good, be it bad, it's one game. And I always say there is a rule about teams. It's the 10-1-1 is what I like to call it. 10 games is about who you are. You'll have one game that is your best game where you play out of your mind. You don't know who that team is. Things that you've done terribly all year, all of a sudden they're clicking. And the things that you've done well all year, you are going into God mode. Nobody can stop you. And then you have your worst game of the year where everything looks bad. I mean, you couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. You know, you couldn't find a way to move a bunch of fifth graders to get a yard if you needed to. Who knows if this was the worst of the year? I know this won't be the best of the year. I know that without a bit of uncertainty, unless something were to happen to where, you know, they had to replace every single player on the team with not only walk-ons, but just random people from campus. I'm sure that, you know, this is not the best game they'll play. But again, we'll see who is this team really in the near future. We'll see, hey, this team, they are ready. They can do what they need to do. Hey, it's a new day. We're going to figure it out. Or if this was like, you are who you are. This is who you are. And I highly doubt that this is who we are because, again, certain things that were supposed to be strengths just objectively look god-awful. We talked about the run game was like should be improved, but it wasn't a known commodity. What we did say was a known commodity is a quarterback that can be on time, on target, make good decisions. Instead, we got staring down receivers, late and over the middle, you know, slowing down your receivers with the ball and all that. It was a tough scene.
Yeah, Grayson McCall is going to be the key for North Carolina State. We're going to stop their run. That's what we're going to focus on, and we're going to try to put all the pressure on McCall and get him into 3rd and 8 as many times as we possibly can, and then we'll have our guys pin their ears back and put a lot of pressure on him. I expect some exotic blitz packages to come from all different angles and really try to surprise him and put the entire game on his shoulders. And that's really the one probable way they could beat us because our secondary is very much unknown. The last couple of years, our secondary has kind of stunk up the joint. They just haven't been very good. The front seven's been great. Our linebackers this year I feel much better about, a lot more healthy and also matured. With our defensive backs, we don't know. They're more talented, more athletic for sure. I don't think there's any question about that, but can they mesh and can they really stop the pass or at least keep it under control? It's hard to stop passing in 2024 with the rules the way they are. You can't touch the wide receiver. You can't hit him after he catches the ball. You've got to ask him, can I tackle you? And then if he says yes, you can. If not, then there's going to be a penalty. So it's not easy, but if you can keep them under 220 yards in passing, that would be great. I doubt we will. I'd say they'll get to about 250, and then they'll probably run the ball for 90 to 110, something like that. They're going to get some points. And that brings us into prediction land. The more I think about this game, I know we're going to score points. I've got it somewhere around 37 to 24.
You sure about that?
Right in that neighborhood. Now, I'm not much of a gambler, I'll go ahead and tell you, so I won't be gambling on this game. It's just not my thing. But that's what I see happening. Somewhere in that neighborhood, 37-24 just feels right to me. And I know Tennessee's favored by 7, 7.5, something like that. That'll probably get all the way up to 10 based on what we saw last Saturday and then previously the Thursday with NC State. I expect State to show up and really have their hair on fire. This is a big game. Millions of people are going to be watching it, and they're in their home state. I don't think they're going to have a huge home field advantage, even though it's in their state, because Tennessee travels and there's lots of tickets available. So based on what I saw on Ticketmaster. So I would expect we'll be heavily represented by plenty of Tennessee Vols fans, and they might even be in a good mood.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
No. Oh, no, sir. No.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not insinuating that they would be. I'm just saying there's a possibility of it. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit that little button. I would appreciate it. It won't cost you a dime, and it'll help you get my videos. And right over here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.